And we now have this Bronzeback that we're going to work on. And I'm going to start doing some work here on the mane first, because I want to create a little bit of a delineation or separation between the skin and the hair there. I'm going to start with coal black, P3 coal black. And that's what I'm going to paint the mane in at this point. I have different brushes that I use, guys. I've got some nice sables that I use, and then I've got some cheap nylons that I use. On heavily textured surfaces like this, where I'm painting fast and quick and kind of jamming the brush into tight corners and stuff like that, I actually I switch to a nylon brush because the sables will get worn out really quick. And you know, when you've got a really heavily textured surface like this, you don't have to worry quite as much about how smooth your coats are, because the texture kind of defeats that purpose, or just roughs up the paint so much as it is, you know, as far as, you know, just the overall texture goes, that, you know, no one's really going to notice. I mean, as long as you're keeping your coats thin, I think you're good. But you normally hear people talk about how you want to have long, smooth strokes. That's what she said. But you know, in a situation like this, I don't think it's going to be quite as important as just getting the coverage that you're looking for. I get these cheap nylon brushes from Walmart, a pack of 8 of them for like $2. I go through them really quick. Okay, and you can already see the separation that the blue creates against the gray skin and the bronze striping that I worked in there. Alright, 1 second here, guys. I just need to look at something here real fast. My apologies. I keep notes on my color recipes on my computer here, and I just want to make sure that that I'm following something right. Okay. Alright, so again, there's a little more activity in chat here. Let me just check real quick what's going on. Someone's asking, do you wear a mask or have any special ventilation set up when you use an airbrush? Yeah, I've got a hood that I turn on. That was that noise you were hearing earlier when I was airbrushing. It keeps the ventilation out there. Someone's noticing how my wet palette is so much larger than my paper, that might be part of the problem that they're having. It might be. Oh, Scott, you're on. Yeah, Scott, this is your Bronzeback. I hope you're liking it, man. Gosh, Gentle something Tyrant. I don't even know what your handle is there, Scott. I'm sorry, but yeah, this is your Bronzeback. I already had. I wonder if you got a chance to look at part 1 of the video where I did all the airbrushing, and what your thoughts are on the scheme so far. For those of you who are new to my PaintCast, what I do these models that I work on the show, they're not commissions per se, where someone's like saying, hey, I want a, you know, Fire of Salvation, please paint it for me. What I'm actually doing here, guys, is something that's really different, very unique, and not something that's really being done right now in the miniature painting world. I'm offering customized tutorials. That's what this is that I'm doing right now. So Scott contacted me, and he had mentioned that he wanted to start a Scorn army. I don't know why anyone in their right mind would want to play Scorn, let alone paint them unless they're being paid. I have painted enough Scorn in the last couple years to satisfy every need to do it again. And the only reason why I took this tutorial on from Scott was because I was only going to be painting one model. If it had been more than one, I probably wouldn't have taken this, Scott. So anyway, back to what I was getting at. So Scott contacted me. He said, hey, I want to paint a Scorn army. You know, these are kind of the colors I'm thinking of using. I'm thinking of using an airbrush, you know, help me out here. So he and I went back and forth several times. Lots of emails, lots of questions, lots of clarification, lots of suggestions, and we came up with a paint scheme that he was looking for. He sent me some pictures of artwork that he had found that he liked, and basically he's working on a magenta color armor with a bronze trim, or even a bronze armor with magenta cloth, and he kind of wanted to go with grays in the skin. And so these videos that I'm doing for him, it's going to be 4 or 5 videos altogether when everything's said and done, are going to show Scott how to recreate that color scheme on a model. And then what I do is I post these videos onto YouTube, so now Scott has his own personal tutorial video that he can go back to any time on YouTube and watch. How did he do that magenta color, or how did he do this, or how did he do that, and he can go back to that at any time to get the gist of it down. So that's what we're doing here. That's how that's how the process is working. So let's see if I gave Scott enough time to respond about how he's feeling about this. Gentleman Tyrant, yes, okay, cool. So I got your handle right. So all right, so cool. You're liking it. So hey, we can we can go with purple on the armor, or we can go with more magenta color. In fact, while I've got you on, Scott, let's play around with that a little bit. Let's pause, work on the Bronzeback for a second, and let's talk about color schemes here. Okay, we'll do my little card thing here. As I was thinking about, what's going to work with this gray, what's going to work with, those pictures that you sent me, the green glows, that kind of thing. P3 Murderous Magenta really seems to fit the bill as your base color. Okay, and you can see it's got a nice, rich, reddish color to it. It's looking a little more red on screen than it actually is. Let me thin this out so you can kind of see how some of that color is going to look as it desaturates. So you can kind of see it's got that nice pinky purpley effect going for it there. I think to shade this down, we're going to look at Exile Blue. So if we take a little bit of the Murderous Magenta here, a little bit of the Exile Blue, we mix that in, we start getting into nice, pretty deep purple there, which I think will look really good as a shadow color. And then I think for highlighting, we need to look at Carnal Pink, and instead of pushing this murderous magenta into the pinks with, like, say, sanguine highlight or something like that. What the carnal pink is going to do is desaturate the color more and give you almost a strong white type highlight. That's going to blend, I think, a little bit better with everything we got going here. And kind of see where that's going. So that's kind of the color range I was thinking for the armor plates on the Bronzeback. Now I know, with your troops and stuff, you're going to do your cloth this color, but see on the Bronzeback here, you've got some nice big armor plates that are just screaming to have some color on them, and I think this murderous magenta is the direction we go with that, and we trim that color out in a bronze color. Let me just kind of real quickly put some of this murderous magenta on. You can tell me what you think. So let that dry for a half second. And while that's drying, the bronze color that I think will work really nice with this is going to be Vallejo Game Color Brassy Brass. Let me show you how this looks on here. It's got a nice bright orangey bronze color. Looks really good against the magenta. And you can highlight it really easy with, like, P3 solid gold or something like that. Okay, and that's just a real quick application of a coat. Curious what your thoughts are on that, Scott, if it's a combination you're liking there. While this magenta color is drying too, I'm going to kind of go back to the skin here and keep working on this. I'm going to do a little bit of wet blending, and we're going to work on this edge right here in between the mane and the skin. Now this is some two-brush blending we're going to be doing here. For that, you're going to need, obviously, two brushes. Okay, one's going to be your application brush, one's going to be your blending brush. The idea is you're going to apply the color into one spot, and then take your blending brush, start moving it back and forth, pushing into the color, and then as you pull out, spread that paint about. Okay. So there we go. That'll dry in a few minutes, and once that's dry, I'll come back to this side so you can see, kind of how it looks. Once that'll dry off, let me hop onto the other side here. So Scott, you're feeling like that the Murderous Magenta is a little too bright, but you want to see how it looks shaded down. And it's almost dry, so once it's done drying, we'll see how that looks. The other thing we can do too is, going off the card here, is start with something that's maybe a combination of Exile Blue and Murderous Magenta, highlight up into Murderous Magenta, and then don't worry about going up into the desaturated pink value there. Just a thought. Okay. Let's see how this other side looks now that it's drying up a little bit more. You can see it's left a really nice pattern with the striping that we did with the airbrushing. Okay. Kind of the two-tone effect going on there, and again creating a nice rich solid boundary between the mane and the flesh there. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is work on just refining some of these shadows a little bit with the Crixbane base. Whoop, wrong color. There it is. Crixbane base, we're going to use that. That, if you remember from the last video, Scott, that is the shadow color that we're going with. Okay, let me get another coat of magenta on here real fast so that we can shade this down tonight so you can see how it looks. Scott, what are your thoughts on the bronze color, the brass color that I put there next to it? Are you digging that color, or are you wanting something different there? Nice thing about two-brush blending here, guys, is you can move really quickly over the surface of a model. And if you've, done some, initial work with your airbrush as far as, highlighting and shadowing goes, you really get a lot of work done really quick. I honestly think part of that too is just accepting the fact too that it's not going to be perfect. The more time you can spend moving the brush and the less time you can spend worrying about how it's going to look when it's done, the better the painter you're going to become in the end. Reading about painting theory and watching people paint only will get you so far, guys. Big part of what I'm trying to do here is get people motivated to paint. Remove some of that mystery from it. Alright, skin-wise, I think we're good here. I don't really think I need to go too much further. I mean, there might be some little spots that I hit, like right here behind these arms, down on this bottom side here. But the majority of the shading and highlighting, I think I'm going to be done with at this point, on the skin at least. Okay, let me get this magenta color shaded for you, Scott, so you can decide if you like it or not. And then I'm probably going to be wrapping up for the night. So if you have any questions that I did not answer from earlier in the PaintCast that I missed in the chat, make sure you throw them up so that I can take the time to answer them real quick before I log off tonight. I'll take a few minutes to do that. You get my air dryer on this so it dries. I think we might want to take that down just a little further here and get some air dryer going. Hold on one sec, guys. Okay. Gonna throw some coal black on this now. Go just a little darker. Alright, I like how that looks. What do you think, Scott? Let me clean that up a little bit more. Hold on a second here. So that is a murderous magenta, shaded with exile blue, and then shaded with a little bit of coal black. And I really focused the shading just mostly on the edges here, and then left this area right in here just pure magenta. So murderous magenta. So I think that looks nice, but you know, this is your deal, man. So what you decide to do, Scott, is what we'll do with that. I'm gonna wait for the delay to catch up with you there and let you respond with what you want to do. Okay, so now you like that, so that's cool. We'll stay with that. So I'm glad you like that, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up for the night tonight, guys. Let me just go back through the last couple of questions here and see if anyone had any unanswered questions from tonight's broadcast. Okay. Just going back a few questions here. Where did you get the P3 labeled dropper bottles with agitators in them? Do you live in an alternate hobby world than me, or did you just do a lot of work to make nice bottles? Excuse me, guys. No, I did a lot of work. It really isn't a lot of work though when you think about it. These are half-ounce dropper bottles. If you go onto eBay and type in half-ounce dropper bottles, you'll get a ton of links. I think I bought like 200 bottles for like $30, and they came with the lids and the nozzles. And then what I use for agitators are 5mm round lava beads. Okay. Don't use steel ball bearings, stainless steel ball bearings, or any kind of metal or anything like that. Even though stainless steel is supposedly, you know, rust-free, they will over time break down. What's nice about the lava stones is it's natural. They're not going to break down. They're rocks. They've got some weight to them. They've got some mass to them, and they work as a good agitator. And you can pick up a strand of those, like 100 of those, for like $5 as well. So, and then I made some labels. You know, went to Office Max and bought some mailing labels, and then printed them out and put them on the bottles, and then transferred the paint. The labels are not waterproof, as you can see on the Moro White, and I'm not quite sure how to make them waterproof, but I don't know. It's not a big issue. Let's see here. Alright, looking to see if there's any more. Corsec is asking, just double checking before I eat paint, is he really using spit? Yes, I am really using spit. I am using the saliva off of my tongue to put some moisture in the paint, and use that as a blending medium. You can use water, a lot of guys do. I just find it easier for the way that I paint to just drag my brush across my tongue before I mix the paints. Two brush blending is all about brush control, or moisture control. If you've got too much moisture in your blending brush, you just create a wash. If you've got too little, you just end up mucking the paint up. So it takes a little bit of practice, but you'll get there with it. Someone is asking, can you show your airbrush ventilation system before you go? Yeah, this is a little more difficult just because with my camera. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to zoom out far enough to show that. What I'll do in the next few days is I'll take a couple of pictures of my broadcast station that has all my setup there, and I'll post those onto my Facebook so you can see what I'm using and how that looks. Let's see. Do you want to do my siege turtle as well? We'll have to see what happens with that. But anyway, guys, it's 10:30. I've got work early in the morning and school tomorrow, so I got to get going. But thanks everyone for watching tonight. Really appreciate it. We had, most I saw was 18 people at one point tonight on the PaintCast, which is great. Love to see that number in attendance. If you have any questions that I didn't get to tonight, make sure and shoot me up on my email, redmodeling. That's R-E-D modeling, redmodeling @gmail.com. You can also hit me up on Facebook at facebook.com/redmodelingpaint, and I can answer your questions there. If you're interested in getting your own PaintCast done, that would be the best avenue to contact me at. Otherwise, guys, thanks for watching. Everyone have a good night, and we'll catch you all later.